Alright, we're going to read the subjects of Title 49 CFR Part 242 Conductor Certification File Ruling. We're actually going to be reading off of the CFR in this section, the list of subjects, administrative practice, procedures, conductor penalties, railroad employees, railroad operating procedures, railroad safety record, reporting, record keeping, and requirements. The reason for discussing the preamble, the FRA amends the Chapter 2, Subtitle B of the Title 49 Code Federal Regulations in part and adding to Part 242 as you read as follows. The Part 242 Qualification Certification of Conductors, Part A Generals 242.1 Purpose and Scope, 242.3 Application Responsibility Compliance, 242.5 Effective Construction, 2.427 Definitions, 242.9 Waivers, 242.11 penalties, consequences for non-compliance, 242.13 information collection requirements, subpart B program eligibility requirements, 242 101 certification and program required, 242-103 approval of design individual railroad programs by the FRA, 242-105 schedule and implementation, 242-107 types of service, 242-109 determination required certification recertification, 242-11 111 prior safety conduction of motor vehicle, 242-113 prior safety conduct as an employee of the different railroad, 242-115 substance use disorder and alcohol drug rule compliance, 242-117 vision hearing acuity, 242-119 training, 242-21 242-121 knowledge testing, 242-123 monitoring operational performance, 242-125 certification determinations made by other railroads, 242-127 reliance of qualification requirements other than country, is subpart C administrative certification programs, 242.201 one-time limitations of certification, 242.203 retaining information supporting determinations, 242.205 identification certification of persons record keeping, 242.207 certification components, 242.209 maintenance of the certificate, 242.211 the requirements of the replacement of the certificates, 242.213 multiple certifications, 242.215 railroad oversight responsibility, subpart D territorial qualifications, joint operation, 242.301 requirements of the territorial qualifications, subpart E D denial of revocation of certification, 242.401 denial of certification, 242.403 criteria of revocation certification, 242.405 periods of ineligibility, 242.407 process of revoking certification, subpart F disputes and resolution procedures, 242.501 review board established, 242.503 petition requirements, 242.505 processing certification reviewing petitions, 242.507 requesting for the hearing, 242.509 hearings, 242.511 appeals, Appendix A to Part 242 schedule of civil penalties, Appendix B the 242 procedures submission approval of the conductor certification program, Appendix C the 242 procedures of obtaining evaluation motor vehicle record data, Appendix D the medical standards guidelines, Appendix E, the Part 242 application revocable events authority, the title U.S. Standard Code 20103, 20107, 20135, 20138, 20162, 20163, 21301, 21304, 21311, title U.S. Standard Code 2461 note, and title 49 Code for Regulations 149, subpart A general. Alright, we're going to read Part A, 242 proposed in scope. The purpose of this part is to ensure that only the persons who meet the minimum federal standard of service is conducted reduce the rate of the number of accidents incidents to improve the railroad safety. The part describes the minimum federal safety standards for the eligibility, training, testing, certification, monitoring of all conductors to whom it applies. This part does not restrict the railroad from adopting and enforcing additional more stringent requirements consistently with this part. The conductor of certification requirements prescribed in this part apply to any of the person who meets the definition of the conductor containing the statute 242.7, regardless of the fact that the person may have the job classification title under the conductor. 242.3 application responsibility of compliance with the part applies with all railroad except one, the railroads they operate only on the track inside of the installation that is not part of the general railroad system of the transportation plant railroads. It is defined in 242.7. Tourist, scenic, historic, excursion operations that are not part of the general railroad system transportation is defined in 242.7. Rapid transit and urban area that are not connected to the general railroad system transportation, although the duties imposed by this part of the generally stated in the terms of the duty of the railroad for each of the person include a contractor for a railroad who performs Any function covered under this part of the most form and the function in accordance with this part. 242.5. Effect and construction. The FRA does not intend by the use of the term of the conductor in part of altering the terms and conditions interpretation of the existing collective bargaining agreements and employee of the job, the classification identifying the person who is crew member in charge of the movement of the required locomotive engineer. The FRA does not intend the issuance of the regulation to alter the authority of the railroad initiated with disciplinary sanctions against its employees, including the manager, supervisor, normal, customary manner, including those contained with the collective bargaining agreements, except otherwise provided in Statute 242.1.213, and notifying that part of this shall be construed with the creative prohibit eligibility entitlement for the employment and other services of the railroad as a result of denial, suspension, revocation, and certification under this part. Note, in this part of this should be deemed abridged and additional procedures, rights to the remedies, and not inconsistent with its parts available to the employee under the collective bargaining agreement of the Railway Labor Act with respect to the employment at will and at common law with respect to removal of the service and other adverse actions of the consequences of this part. 242.7 is definitions as used in the part administrative means administrative of the FRA to the administrative delegates. Alcohol means the ethyl alcohol or ethanol includes the only use of possession of any mixture, beverage or mixture preparation containing ethyl alcohol. The conductor may be the crew member in charge of the train yard crew defined in Part 218, Chapter. See all the definitions of passenger conductor in this section. Controlled substances have meaning of the sign and title of 21 U.S. Standard Code 802 includes all substances listed in Schedule 1 through 5 that may be revised in the time of the Title 21 CFR Parts 1301 through 1316. Drug means any substance other than alcohol that has a known mind or functional altering effects to the human subject, specifically including psychoactive substances, including but not limited to controlled substances. Drug alcohol counselor, or DAC, means the person who is meeting in the credential qualifications requirement of the substance abuse professional as provided in Title 29 U.S. Code Federal Regulation Part 40. The dual-purpose vehicle, which means a piece of it on a track that is capable of moving a railroad rolling stock and may be also function as a roadway maintenance equipment. The file, and filing means submission of the document with under the part of the docket clerk receives it in if it is sent by the mail and date mailing was complete. The FRA means the FRA Railroad Administrative. The FRA represents the FRA Associated Administrative of the Railroad Chief Safety Officer and Associates Administrative Delegated, including safety inspectors employed by the Federal Railroad Administration and qualified state for the Railroad Safety Inspector acting under the paragraph Part 212 of the chapter. Ineligible and ineligibility means the person is legally disqualified as serving as a certified conductor. The terms, number of the circumstances in which a person may not serve as a certified conductor revokes in a certification pursuant to Section 242.407, denial of certification of Statute 242.401. Two examples of each of the person ineligible to serve the conductor. A period of ineligibility may end while the conditions are met. For example, when the person meets the condition to serve as a conductor following an alcohol drug violation pursuant to 242.11.15. Job aids means the form more information regarding other mainline track physical characteristics, supplementing operational instructions for the territory over which the locomotive train movement will occur. See the definition of main track of the physical characteristics. In section, the job aid may consist of the training of the train territory pursuant to the statute 242.11.9 or chapter visual aids of the territory of the person served to contact the qualified territory who describes the physical characteristics of the territory. At a minimum, job aid must cover the characteristic territory, including permanent clearance and location of the permanent derail switches and assigned radio frequencies, and use of special instructions required for the movement if in any railroad and identified unique operation conditions. Joint operation means the railroad conducted by one or more railroad on the same track, regardless whether the operation are a result of the contractual agreement between the railroads. 2. Order of government agency of the court law. 3. They are legally binding services. Knowingly having actual knowledge of the facts given the right to the violation, reasonable person acts of the circumstances exercising due care would have such knowledge. Locomotive means the piece of the on-track other than specialized railroad maintenance equipment on the dual-purpose vehicle of operating in accordance with statute 240-104A2 of this chapter, with more than propelling design for the more than equipment. 2, with one or more propelling motors designed to carry freight or passenger traffic, or both. 3, without propelling motors with the car. One without propelling motors with one or more control stands. Locomotive engineers means any person who is a locomotive group of the locomotive, regardless of whether they are coupled or other rolling equipment, except as a person who moves the locomotive or group of locomotives with the confines of locomotive repair or servicing, as are provided in 218.5 and 218.229A1 of this chapter. A person who moves the locomotive group of locomotives distance is less than 100 feet of the incidental movement of the locomotive is an inspection maintenance proposal. Locomotive engineering certificate means the certificate is issued in Part 240 of this chapter. The main track means the track upon the operating of the trains is governed by one or more of the following methods of operation: timetable, mandatory, directive, signals, indication, positive train control, as defined in Part 236 of this chapter. Any form of the absolute manual block system. Medical examiner means the person licensed doctor, medicine doctor, osteopathy. Medical examiner can be qualified full-time salaried employee railroad, qualified practitioner of the contract of the railroad, of the fee for a service on the other basis, qualified practitioner designated by the railroad to perform the functions in connection with the medical evaluation of the employees. As used in this rule, the medical examiner's oath the duty to make the honest of the fully informed of the evaluation condition of the employee. On-the-job training means the on-the-job that occurs at the workplace, i.e. the employee learns the job to do it while doing it. The passenger conductor means the conductor who has also received an emergency preparative training of the under Part 239 of this chapter. See also the definition of conductor in this section. Person means of any type of the covered under Title 1 U.S. Standard Code 1, including but not limited to the following: a railroad manager, supervisor, official, other employee, or any agent of the railroad, any owner, manufacturer, lessor, or leaser of railroad equipment. Track facility and independent contracting, providing goods or the services of the railroad. Any employee such as the manufacturer, leaser, or lessor is independent of the contractor. The physical characteristic means to track the profile of the physical locations and the points of specific yard in the route of the effect of the movement of the locomotive of the train. Physical characteristics include main track of the physical characteristics. See definition of the main track in this section. Other main track physical characteristics. Plant railroad means the plant of the installation that owns the lease of the locomotive and the use of the locomotive to switch throughout the plant of the installation of its moving goods solely to the facility-owned industrial process. The plant of the installation could include the immediately adjacent to the plant. Installation of the plant railroad leases the track general system of the railroad lease that provides the actual practice entails the exclusive of the trackage plant of the railroad general system. The railroad purpose of the moving only cars shipped on the to and from the plant. A plant on the installation operates the locomotive to switch move the cars of the other entities, even though the solely with the confines of the plant institution rather than its own purpose. Industrial process will not be considered a plant railroad because of the performance of such activity makes the operation of the general railroad system of transportation. Qualified means the person who has successfully completed all the instruction and training of the examination program required of the employer. The applicable parts of the chapter that the person have been and responsible be expected to the proficiency of all safety related task the person is assigned to perform. Qualified instructor means that the person who has demonstrated the pursuant of the railroad written program and inadequate knowledge of the subjects under the instruction where applicable and necessary operation experience to effectively instruct the field of the following qualifications. A certified conductor under this part has been selected as such as the designated railroad officer in concurrence with the designated employee representative where present. 3, in absence of concurrence provided in paragraph 2 of the definition as a minimum of 12 months working with the train service employee. If the railroad does not employ the representation of the person employed with the railroad need not comply with paragraph 2 and 3 of the definition to be qualified instructor. The railroad means the non-highway ground transportation of the runs of the rail and electromagnetic guideways to any entity provided with the transportation, including the commuter and the short-haul railroad passenger service in metropolitan suburban area commuter railroad services that are operated and consolidated with the Rail Corporation in January 1st, 1979. High-speed ground transportation complete metropolitan area with regard whether the systems have new technologies not associated with the traditional railroads, but does not include the rapid trail and transit operations of urban that they are not connected general railroad system transportation. Railroad officer means a supervisor employee of the railroad rolling stock. Railroad rolling stock is one on track equipment that is either for railroad freight car as defined in statute 215.5 of the chapter, and the passenger car as defined in 238.5 of this chapter. Remote control operator (RCO) means the certified locomotive is defined in statute 240.07 chapter, certified by the railroad to operate remote control locomotives pursuant to 240.107 of this chapter. Roadway maintenance equipment is on equipment powered on means of the other energy, the hand powered, which is used in conjunction maintenance, repair of the construction, inspection, track, bridges, roadways, signals, communications, electric traction systems. See or service in the context of servicing documents, the meaning of the given in the Rule 5 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedures amending similar to the computation of the time provisions. Rule 6 of the Federal Rule of the Civil Procedures is amended also as applicable in this part. See all definitions of the filing in this section. Specialized roadway maintenance equipment is roadway maintenance equipment that does not have capability to move railroad rolling stock. An alteration of such an equipment is to be enabled to have move railroad stock will require the equipment to be treated as a dual-purpose vehicle. Substance abuse disorder refers to psychological, physical dependence on alcohol or drug due to unidentifiable treatment of the mental or physical disorder involving the abuse of alcohol, drugs, and primarily manifestation of substance abuse disorder active, which means the person is currently using alcohol or other drugs except for the other medical supervision consent, with the restriction described in 219.103 of this chapter that had been fully successfully complete with the primary state treatment, successfully participate in aftercare directed by the Department of Drug, Alcohol, Counselor, or the substance abuse professional. Substance abuse professional means the person who meets the qualifications of substance abuse professional as provided in the Part 40 of this title. Territory qualifications, it means the possessing and necessary knowledge concerning the railroad operating rules, timetable, special constructions, including familiarity with the applicable main track and other main track physical characteristics of the territory over the locomotive or the train movement will occur. The tour, scenic, historic exertion operations that are not general railroad system of transportation means that the tour, scenic, historic, or exertion operation conducted only by the track used exclusively for the purpose. There is no freight, intercity passenger, commuter passenger, road operating on the track. 242.9 waivers. A person who is subject to the requirement of any part of the petition of the administrative of the waiver of the compliance with such requirement, the filing such of the petition does not affect the person's responsibility for compliance with the requirement of the petition is being considered. Each petition of the waiver under the section which must be filled with the manner and containing the information in Part 211 of this chapter. C. If the administrator finds that the waiver of the compliance is in the public and the interest and consistent with the railroad safety, the administrator may grant the waiver subject to any conditions that the administrator deemed necessary. 242. The penalties and consequences of non-compliance. A person who violates the requirements of this part of the cause of the violation of any such requirements, such as the civil penalty at least of $600 and $650, no more than $25,000 per violation, except that the penalties may be assessed against individuals only for willful violation, where the grossly negligent violation pertinent to the repeated violation has been created imminent hazard of death to injuries he has caused, the death or injury pertinent to the not to exceed $100,000 per violation may assessed in each of the day a violation continues shall be constitute a separate offense. See the appendix A to this part for the statement of the agency's civil penalty policy. B. As a person violates the requirement of this part causes the violation of any such requirements may be subject to disqualification from all safety-sensitive services in accordance with Part 209 of this chapter, as in part of the knowing and willingly falsify a record and report required as part of the subject of criminal penalties under Title US 49 U.S. Standard Code 21311. In addition, with the enforcement methods referred to the paragraph A, B, and C of this section, the FRA may also address violations of this part, the use of the emergency order compliance and injunction provisions of the Federal Railway Safety Laws. 242.113. The information collection requirements of the part of the being reviewed of the Office of Management and Budget pursuant to the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1980, the Title 44 U.S. Standard Code 3501 and 10 sequence have not been assigned to the Office of Management and Budget Control. Information collection requirements are found in Section 242.9, 242.101, 242.103, 242.105, 242.106, 242.109, 242.111, 242.113, 242.115, 242.117, 242.119, 242.121, 242.123, 242.125, 242.127, 242.203, 205, 209, 211, 213, 215, 301, 401, 403, 405, and 407. Subpart B, eligible requirements.